Hi everyone, welcome to another maths video with Maths with Sarah. So today we're going to be looking at this question. As with all the videos that I do, this is a past paper GCSE question. So this one comes from an AQA past paper. It's a non-calculator paper, otherwise this would be looking pretty easy. And it comes right from the end, so it's actually the last question on this particular past paper. It's not something that you'd really cover at foundation, so if you're going to be doing foundation, you probably don't need to worry too much about this type of question. So as I've said, because this is a non-calculator paper, we're going to be looking at exact trig values. Now, I don't know about you, but I find it really difficult to remember these exact trig values. And so if you go on my Instagram, I have actually recently posted a handy cheat sheet for how you can work these out rather than having to remember them. So the question we're looking at is we've been given cos x equals sine of 60 degrees times tan of 30 degrees. And it wants you to work out the size of angle x. So note that it's going to be important at the end that we're looking for the angle x and we're not looking for cos x, which is a little step that we'll need to use in the working out. So to start this question, we're going to need to use the exact trig values to find out sine of 60 and to find out tan of 30. Now you can find out both of these using the same triangle. So if you can remember these, then great, you're going to have absolutely no problem with this question. If, like me, you struggle to remember the exact trig values off the top of your head, the way that I like to do it is to use the equilateral triangle method. So we'll imagine this is a lovely equilateral triangle. Each of the side lengths are 2. We've bisected it down the middle. So this half just up to this line will be a side length of 1. And that will give us a right angle here. Because it's an equilateral triangle, we know that this angle here will be 60 degrees. And we can also then work out that because this is exactly bisected this angle, this will be 30 degrees. Now, if we use a quick bit of Pythagoras Theorem, we can work out that this side length is going to be 2 squared minus 1 squared. So this is the hypotenuse. So 2 squared minus 1 squared, which will give us root 3. Or will give us 3. And then because we need to square root it to find out the side length, this will give us root 3. So now we can get back to working out sine of 60. So sine of 60 is opposite over hypotenuse. So if we look at the opposite of the angle that's 60 degrees, we get root 3. And then the hypotenuse, as we've already said, is 2. So we've got root 3 over 2. If we then look at the next one, we've got tan of 30 degrees. Again, so tan is, I'm sure you remember, opposite over adjacent. And this is opposite over adjacent of the 30-degree angle. So for this, the opposite is 1, and the adjacent, remember this is the hypotenuse, so we use the other side of the adjacent, this will be root 3. Now, obviously, normally you don't like to have a surd on the bottom of a fraction. However, just for the purposes of this question, we'll leave it like that for now. If you remember the exact trig values, you'll end up with root 3 over 3. And that's fine. You can use this question with either. I just personally find it a little bit easier to do it this way. So now we know that cos of x equals sine 60 times tan 30. So to figure that out, we do cos of x. We know that that's equal to root 3 over 2 times by 1 over root 3. And if we do this calculation, we're going to end up with root 3 over 2 root 3. And obviously the root 3s are going to cancel, so that's just going to cancel down to a half. Now, again, we can go back to this triangle. We know that cos of something equals a half, so we need to do cos to the -1 or inverse cos of a half. and that will give us what x is. So x equals the inverse of cos of a half. Again, we can go back to this triangle. We know that a half would be this one here over this one here. So as we've said before, this one is the hypotenuse, and we know that cos is always a over h, or the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So we've got the hypotenuse, and this one will then be the adjacent. Well, this side is adjacent to the angle of 60 degrees. And so then from that, we can work out that the inverse cos of a half will be 60 degrees, and therefore x equals 60 degrees. So hopefully you found that useful. It's the last question on the paper, so I'm guessing that there'll be some people who probably will be thinking, it's the last question, I definitely can't do it. Well, hopefully this shows that there was actually quite minimal working out in this question. I think it's a question that most people could attempt, assuming that you have some idea of exact trig values, whether or not you use this triangle method that I've shown you here, or whether or not you can remember them. This question, I think, is something that everybody could attempt, and definitely get a few marks from it. So thank you very much for watching. I'll be back soon with some more videos, so please subscribe in order to get the first look at any new videos. And once again, thank you very much for watching.